What's up? It's your boy Carcino here, and we are ready for Civil War. But it's team cap all day. All day. So now, listen. Let me set this down somewhere where you can see your boy here. Boom. Your fat boy. There you call me fat. Fat people wish they looked like me. Ain't that right, fat people? Fat people eating a donut. Oh, right. He not fat. Why you put him in our club? I get kicked out of fat people club if you put me in a fat people club. Shame on y'all. Now, back to the story of Civil War. Now, I hate that I have to make this review. You know why? Because everybody in the world is making a review already. It's like, what are you doing? A spoiler review ain't supposed to come out till at least Monday at least. Give them the weekend to go see it. My goodness. Now you got spoiler reviews coming out the day of the movie being released. Which forces us to just, well, might as well put our spoiler review out then. So I guess everybody in the world has seen it. So if you don't like spoilers, you don't want to know what's going on, this is not the review for you. If you saw my review, I hope you liked the way I set that up by saying Rhodey died. Because see, that's what they show you on the commercial to make you believe Rhodey died. But of course, if you was in the content sections, the comment sections, you see I told you, or did he? Because of course Rhodey didn't die. Rhodey's paralyzed. They wrote it in the script that way, but if you go by the comics is a little bit more graphic. When Civil War basically started, which I would have hoped they would have put it in there, but you can't have that. It was another group of, superpowered mutants or whatever, who were going out fighting the bad mutants or the bad guys and videotaping it, doing it like a reality show. And they were filming like all the people they're capturing. But they were basically low level and working on their own. Then they end up encountering a high-powered mutant. And he said, and he told them, you don't even know who you dealing with. You guys are just low class. Like, I'm like next level. And he blows himself up. And they've had a fight in front of a school. And it wiped out 900 people, including an entire school with all the children. And this is when the government gets involved. And similar to this film here, in Civil War, when you see Crossbones and, the opponent, the guy that was left over from the villain from the last film, I'm glad they kind of wrapped him up quick because, I didn't really need him in there, but he was good for action because we got to see Romanoff get her bit of the action. You get to see her fight. You got to see how cool Falcon Tech was in this more than it was in Winter Soldier. He's far advanced now. You can see he's, cemented into this frame that he's in now. And the new Avengers, since the Ultron situation, have come along and they've stepped there. They basically upped the ante. So now Falcon is there. He's the tech and all the stuff that they built. They put the red wing on him, the little bot. So you got to see the tech improve and see that they were more than just minions running around. Everybody had a role. Now, Scarlet Witch, accidentally, let the catcher crossbow when he tried to blow himself up. And unfortunately, it wipes out like 6 people. That was from Wakanda, the fake African continent, but that is home of Black Panther. So this introduces Black Panther to the mix of Civil War. And by him being the king, or he was the prince at that time, his king is the father. And he was the original Black Panther. He dies, so the ring goes to the son, who now takes on the role of the Black Panther. And he probably was the Black Panther for a while, but it's just passing of the torch. But Black Panther really wasn't in the Civil War, the comics. The comics started where they had the the government came up with a plan to say, okay, everyone had to register and they had to tell their identities. If you had a power, you have to tell your identities and you have to be in control. Well, Captain America thought in the comics, this is where that this is a mistake because now the villains know who we are. Yeah, are the villains going to step up and tell people their identity? Now, everybody we capture, they were like, no, but you guys are now going to be funded. You're going to have dental benefits, you're going to have medical, and you're going to get paid. So that was basically it. You're going to get paid for doing this. It's not like you're just showing up avenging for free. You're actually getting a check and benefits. Because, see, what they don't harp on is that a lot of these superheroes, even though they have powers, most of them are broke. They're not all Tony Stark. So, a lot of them didn't have it. So, this was appealing to them. And Spider-Man was against it at first because he was worried about Aunt May and all this stuff. But him and Iron Man was cool because Iron Man designed him a whole new spider suit. Like an Iron Man Spider-Man suit. So, him and Iron Man became close. And it was actually Spider-Man is the one that made more people join to the side once Iron Man convinced him that Aunt May would be safe and everything is fine. Spider-Man goes in front of the public and reveals that he's Peter Parker for the first time. And the public knew that he was Peter Parker. And if they were like, well, Spider-Man could do it, then everyone else should be able to do it. But then they started to see the dangers of what happens in that situation where they're not in control anymore. And that brings us to the topic here. When this happens, Tony is feeling responsible for what happened from all previous events, from all the other scenes that you've seen from the first Avengers on, all the damage and all the people that got killed along the way. And this one kid in particular, his mother was there and she was, you killed my son. And it was always on Tony's conscience. Tony's always felt guilty because he never made amends with his parents before they were killed in a violent car accident on the way to an airport. So he never got a chance to tell his dad how he felt. So it always ate at him because he never could do that. So he always tries to fix things. And that's why it goes wrong with him on all the movies. He's flawed. You know, he's obsessive, compulsive behavior. Now, in the comics, same thing. This lady comes up to Tony, blames him for the 900 people getting killed, even though it wasn't the Avengers. It's like, hey, it wasn't us. She spits in his face and everything. So, it's the same scenario basically on that stage where Tony still feels some sort of like, we got to take responsibility for this and maybe we should have somebody guard us and put these restraints on us. But Captain America in the film, just like in the comics, they come up with this bill, this accord that they want to get passed through Congress. And they want to see who's going to sign and who's not going to sign. You know, and all of a sudden, other people don't want their identification out there, but it wasn't just more identification in the film, it was more about control. Captain America has seen what happens when S.H.I.E.L.D. is under control, and both sides have points. But I sided with Team Cap because, like he said, one key line in there that put the whole thing to bed. Agendas change. Okay? If we have a higher power other than us to tell us what to do and when to do it, and if we sign these papers, we're waiving our rights. They have the right to say something. They have the right to tell us when to fight, when not to fight. And he said, yeah, right now is good, right now, but agendas change. And that's true. In every aspect of every Marvel universe, the military, all their plans, they always seem to change. And Captain America has seen a lot of that. to make him be doubtful of this plan. Like he said, the safest hands is still our own. What happens one day if there's a situation that the Avengers need to go to and they won't let us go there because politically it's not in their best choice to do? And Tony's feeling like, look, we need to have somebody to put us in check because obviously people are getting hurt out here. And but look, there's going to be casualties in every war. You can't stop people from dying, but there are worse things out there. And Vision, the reason I think he was more effective than Tony actually, and when he says it's a causality, because when when Iron Man came out that he was Iron Man 8 years ago, there was like no sightings in all of this stuff, and then all of a sudden in 8 years, you're having more and more of these powerful, mutants and stuff start coming out of nowhere. He said, now look at that. Since he came out as Iron Man, he's just saying it's a cause and effect. Since he came out as Iron Man and the things that we do, we attract more people to fight against what we are, and then that cause casualties, and that's it. It's basically cause and effect. Because we do that, and because we came out, he's Iron Man, he's saving the world, it's calls for people to come out to challenge that. Now they view us as a threat. Like we become so much of a threat that these people think they need to fight against it. And the causality of it is it's only going to be more chaos. And it breeds tragedy in the end. There's no winner if they keep going down the road. So he said a higher power to put everything back in order was needed to where we don't just be out there causing wars, doing it excessively. So Vision made Tony's point a little better. Tony was doing it mostly out of paranoia. He really didn't want to do it. But the grief and the guilt was always leaning down on Tony. So now it's one big, mess for him that he's got to try to untangle himself. But here's the only issue I have with this movie. This villain Zemo, who's he was in one of the comics or something, he's totally different here. They put him as some military guy from Zenovia. He's walking around like he's gonna be this master villain in the movie, because I guess they figured they needed a villain to help bridge the war together when they actually had enough to really kick the war off. They didn't really need this extra super soldiers things, and it's 4 extra super soldiers everywhere. That's part was just ridiculous, and they realized it in the film. That's why it was just so corny. He's just like, oh, I just shot them all. We didn't need them. I'm like, yeah, you don't need them. We got what we came here for. We want to see Team Cap versus Team Iron Man. That's all we need to see. And when that kick off, that's why I love the films. And the Russos, they told you, they focus more on hand-to-hand combat and the fight scenes. So when you see them, every fight made sense. Everybody who intervened, Scarlet Witch, every time somebody was going to get fatally taken out, she was right there to stop them. And it was like one-on-one battle. Then they will like switch off. Then it'll be a 2-on-1. Then it switch off. You got 2-on-3. Or you got these two versus Spider-Man fighting 2 guys. It was epic. Epic battle. I love the way they cleared everybody out. And then we got to see Giant Man. Ant-Man comes in and steals the show as Giant Man. Ant-Man, we all know, my uncle, he's the biggest Ant-Man fan there is. He loved the movie Ant-Man. He thought it was one of the best Marvel movies ever. Ant-Man was awesome. And he was like, you see Ant-Man? He's like, Ant-Man came up and he was wondering in the first movie, he said, why didn't they have him turn into Giant Man in the movie? You know he could turn into Giant Man. He could turn into a big giant. Now, in the original comics, there was a giant in there. I forgot his name, But it was a big black giant, and he got killed during the battle and got zapped, and it went through his chest and ended up killing him. It was supposed to be. It looked just like the Rhodey situation. So with War Machine, but it was the first casualty out of all them fighting each other. That this war has caused one of their own to die. So, and it led to more drama in the comics. This here led to a whole bunch of stuff with Rhodey going down. That was the climax of the scene at the event. But Spider-Man coming into play. I told you Spider-Man was awesome. Every line he had was perfect, on point. They got him at the right age. He's a teenager who's impressed with all these things. He's 6 months into having his powers. So he just got them, so he's just happy to be with everything he's getting right now. And he's out helping people, and he doesn't really know what to do. He's poor, so he just basically builds stuff out of the trash. So they kept it simple. And when they was talking about how did this happen to you, he's just like, it's a long story. I don't want to go into it. Perfect. We don't need Spider-Man talking about how he was bit by a radioactive spider in Civil War. We don't care. We know. They took that into our whole mind frame that the public knows. I don't want to see his Uncle Ben gets murdered again. I don't need to see that. Okay? I don't need to see that at all. Hold on one second. Let's see. Alright. Totally off. Now, I don't need to see 1 second of that action. I need to see him out there fighting. And that's what he did. His whole thing is, I gotta impress Iron Man. You guys gotta make me look good. I got one job to do. He's out there, you're under arrest. He's like, he an officer. It was hilarious. But when Ant-Man turned into the Giant Man, I just did it. And he came into that giant, whoa. He was told, Paul Rudd was hilarious in this whole thing. When he started tearing up the Iron Man suit, when he turned into the little Ant-Man, I knew it was on then. Because they gave you like a little battle scene. Well, they were going back and forth. Then they took like a break. And then it's like, okay, we finna go to level 10. And they both went running at each other. And it's like, we fight. And they just went all in. Iron Man and Cap, pow, 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 pow. Everybody was going at it. And it was, the ante was up. Everybody had to go. So, you could tell I'm still excited about it. I'm probably finna go catch it again. So, I'll holler at y'all later. I mean, we could talk about the final battle. Because a lot of people are saying, how could Captain America do this? Because I didn't even go to the final climax of the scene. But people were saying, how could Captain America do that to Iron Man? And it's funny because when they say it in the movie, everybody goes, oh. I'm like, wow, everybody's breath was taken when he asked Cap, did you know? Because Bucky, under the mind control, and I don't know how nobody figured this out from the beginning, he's the one that kills Tony Stark's parents. He killed Howard Stark, and he killed the mom. And the video gets played for Tony right at the end. The villain, so-called villain, plays that video. And for the first time, he gets to see it. And then he didn't know anything about it. Then he gets to see the Winter Soldiers who's standing right next to him kill his parents. But he was under the mind control of the Hydra thing. So it had nothing to do with actual Bucky. But Iron Man didn't care. And he was just like, did you know, Cap? He was like, yeah, I knew. And everybody, oh, Cap knew. And Iron Man was, bam, hits Captain America and goes right after Bucky. And Iron Man just trying to keep Captain Cap trying to keep Iron Man from killing Bucky. Because he going all out now. It's on. He ain't trying to no hold punches. He trying to go. And every time he get in there and he's trying to hit him, he was like, dude, he was under the mind control of Hydra. It wasn't him. He was like, I don't care. He killed my mother. And he just jumped. He didn't care about his dad. He killed his mom. So he was really on. And he was gone, man. And it was 2-on-1. They didn't want to do it, but they had to put it on Tony. And just like the comics, okay, this is what people don't realize. Just like the comic books, they had it just exactly right. In the comics is this. When Captain America was punching on Iron Man had defense. It monitored all the moves and techniques that Captain America was using, and then programmed and used defensive techniques. Like, we got all the counter moves now. Now let's go. Boom. And then Iron Man just started breaking them down. Pop, pop, catch his shield, because they knew he mimicked all his moves. So that the computer did. I was like, that was perfect, because that's just how it happened in the comics. In the comics, it was like he had all Captain America moves programmed. So he had all the counter moves already for every strike. And then they had Cap on they had Iron Man on the wall, and all of a sudden, bam! He was gonna rip out Iron Man's arc, and Iron Man does that charge that he does. Boom! Shoots that ray and burns off the arm of the Winter Soldier. That's to show you how powerful that arc is. When Tony let that go, boom! That element, because what it does, it came off the Tesseract, actually. And once he get that mineral, when he made that new element and everything, once he shot that blast, it was so strong, it cut through Barbarian, whatever that metal is. That's the one comes from Wakanda. The hardest metal on Earth, cut through it, burnt it. So he's out there with one arm. Bucky, he's done. And Tony's getting ready to kill him. Then all of a sudden, here comes Cap to keep fighting him, and he's beating Cap down. He's telling him to stay down, and Cap keeps on fighting. Then Buck grabs him, and they go into an all-out war. And then once they start going into the war, when Buck grabbed his leg, Cap just got the drop on him and started beating him down, took his shield, cracked the arc. I'm out. I gotta go. Gotta take this call. But it was dope. He made Cap drop the shield. So Cap is like, whenever you need me, I'll be there. So Cap is probably gonna be out for a lot of movies, or he might make a cameo in Black Panther. We don't know. But right now, they've all fulfilled their contracts. Iron Man contract is done, and so is what's his face? Iron Man contract, and I'm trying to think I think Cap contract is done. So I think the Infinity War is when they all come back. So that's good, because you need a time to miss them. You need time to miss seeing the Avengers all together. And then once you see Infinity War roll around, that way you don't wear it out. Anyway, I gotta go. This has been long enough. We going to see Civil War again.